Hello, this is Deanna Cluth, Vision Keeper for Joyspring. This is the Joyspring Online Family Festival, resources and support for all you families in quarantine. I am pleased to introduce you to Heather Natoli, who is going to guide you through a meditative self-massage for fascia and stress relief. Heather is passionate about realigning the mind, body, and soul through her nurturing and holistic bodywork. Trained in Swedish and therapeutic massage, Heather creates a session with varying pressures and techniques targeted to release fascial strain, relax the nervous system, and soothe muscle pain and dysfunction. So without further ado, welcome, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. I'm so excited to be here today. Before we begin the meditative massage, I would really like to introduce you to this brilliant new organ called fascia. A lot of people are unfamiliar with fascia, and to me, I see it as this bridge between our body and soul. So fascia is this new organ that is fluid rich and encapsulates every muscle fiber, every organ in our body, and helps our body to communicate one piece with another, right? So almost like a nervous pathway, but a different element. And fascia is filled with collagen. Collagen is actually a piezoelectric substance that means when it's crushed by mechanical forces like stretching and movement, it generates these electrical impulses. And since fascia is fluid filled, it also conducts all of this energy throughout your body. So when you think of practitioners who are inviting you to witness your own light energy or the light energy of others, I love to think about fascia and the role it plays in creating and generating and conducting all of that light energy, all of those physical currents. Right? So it's a really great way to just think of your body and how it bridges those worlds of spirit and physical. Okay, so another great quality of fascia is that it's dilantic. This means that when there is a sudden stress or a force, like getting hit with a baseball, your body tenses up. So this fluid-filled matrix firms up into a solid structure, and it actually protects you and helps to send messages to the rest of your body to, alert the rest of the body to take shape and prepare for whatever's happening, whether it's good or bad, right? So our fascia sends these messages. It helps to connect all of these layers of ourselves. So you think of even a positive, just keeping a smile on your face helps to set off this chain reaction of neurotransmitters, just flushing the body to help you, embody a positive mood, right? So we're going to talk about that as we walk through our fascial massage. And while we walk through it, we'll be able to discuss a little bit how fascia is influencing your body and how you can influence your fascia. Okay, so some forms of trauma can be like a sudden trauma, right? So a lot of people, when you think of trauma, you think of a car accident, you think of an attack, you think of something very physical. These times that we're in right now are a form of trauma. They're actually a sustained stressor, right? As much as you try to separate yourself from it, we have this beautiful world of social media that does amazing things by connecting us and allowing us to have these awesome events like this and getting out our word of wisdom, but also it brings into our, even on the periphery, just these undertones of fear, of awe, of danger, of oncoming danger, even though it's not imminent danger. And our bodies will take on that response, right? So even though we're not face-to-face with danger, these, sustained stress responses are going to cause our body to take on this shape. And that is something that can actually lead to things like depression, because just imagine frowning all the time, even when you're not generally feeling unhappy, it's going to cause you to start feeling unhappy in your body. So we want our body to be expressive of a positive, of an unstressed attitude, so that the two-way street can really be fulfilled and we can step into our days feeling that fully, right? So today we're going to work on the frontal fascial line. This frontal fascial line is known as our great protector. The frontal fascial line protects our most intimate organs, our most delicate, right? Everything in your belly, everything between your groin that is so sensitive and impressionable, right? When you are faced with trauma or the sustained stress, your body takes the form of that scared cat. You start hunching your back in, right? Your tail starts going up. Even your legs, the bottom of your legs will start inching forward to prepare you to run, right? Your neck will start jutting forward, and these positions will cause you to actually have pain along your back. So it feels counterintuitive to be working the front side of your body, but in releasing these constricted parts of your body, we will be able to relax and release the knots and tension that are forming in the back from this position, right? So let's get started. Let's walk through this release, and I hope that in it you'll be able to take some new wisdom about your fascia and how it operates and how you can work on your own body to release that and strengthen your connection between your body and soul. So this frontal fascial line, we're going to be working on the superficial fascia. So this is more towards the front of your body. Yes. This frontal fascial line is generally pulling us in and pulling us forward. It's pulling our energy down in the front to ground us in our feet so that we're ready to move forward. What we are going to be doing today is moving our fascia back upward. We want to be influencing our frontal fascial line to come up, okay? I'm sitting on a stool. You can be sitting on the floor. You can be sitting on a bed, anywhere that you feel comfortable. Before we begin, let's ground ourselves, right? We want to be balancing these extremes of being grounded and being light and lifted. So first, I want you to take a deep breath in, imagining the white light coming down over your body, anchoring through your solar plexus and pulling you all the way down into the earth. Down, down, down through your feet, rooting you down into the ground beneath you. Once you're rooted here, I want you to bring your attention to your feet. When we're under stress, our feet are in a position that we know as dorsiflexion. Our feet are pulling up because our legs are pulling forward, ready to run. Today we're going to be working on this fascial line that comes from the top of your feet and up over the front of your tibia, your shin bone. When you're working this fascial line, I want you to be focusing your intentions on not the muscles beneath, but this layer beneath your skin, between the skin and the muscle. So if you pull gently down on your shin with a firm enough grip that your fingers aren't slipping, you'll be able to pull down and feel the tension between your skin and muscles, and then pull up and feel the tension. One way or another will be a little more tense. You'll feel the restriction. With fascia, we want to be pulling away from the restriction. So you want to be going towards what your body is saying yes to. So where there's more give, you want to pull more into that direction. So often, that's going to be in the up direction, right? Because our fascia wants to relax. And you can Put some nice firm pressure. You want to be on the outside of your shin bone. And pulling upward. As you work your way from your ankle up to your knee, just continue inching your fingers a little bit higher up each time you feel the fascia relax. So for some of you, this might be a few seconds each. And for some, you may want to sit with this for a while. If you feel a lot of tension, if you feel that the pull changes direction, right? If you check in to see if it's still tense, pulling up or down, you may want to change directions, because our fascia is this interwoven matrix, right? So the fascia, even on this tiny part of your body, can be moving in all different directions as you move from the bottom to the top, right? So continue checking in if you're going to be pulling up and following the yes. Follow the direction that your body is feeling more supple and able to move. And this will help to free up the other direction as well. While you're doing these holds of pulling on the fascia, I want to invite you to be moving your foot to feel how the fascia plays when you point your toe, when you flex your feet. Feel how that changes the fascia even as you get closer up to your knee. Because all of our body is connected, and especially in this fascial line. Great, and you can give your shin bone a nice gentle kneading to restore the blood flow and all the nutrients back to that fascia, and thank your body for taking on these positions of protection, right? It's doing what it knows how to do best to take care of you. And we are here to remind it that our danger is not imminent and we don't need it right now, right? So we want to be thanking it. And moving up to your thigh. You can do some gentle kneading before you move into the fascial work, especially in areas where you feel tension more. You may want to focus your kneading around the top of your knee. This is an area where people hold a lot of stress, right? It's an area where when this frontal fascial line is pulled very tightly down, it's going to hold a lot of that weight bearing, right? So this knee area, you may want to check in with the directions again of that fascia, right? So you don't want to be pushing too hard and influencing the tendons and ligaments and muscles beneath it so much. You're focusing on the fascial element, the superficial fascia that's closer to the skin, right? And with this above the knee, you can check in if your fascia is restricting going down towards your knee. Mine again is wanting to pull up, but also check coming in towards your midline. Some people, right, we're all so individual. Some of us not only curl up this way, but also pull our legs inward to protect ourselves. Depending on the types of trauma that you've experienced in the past is going to influence the way that you react to your traumas and your stresses right now. Right, so pulling inward towards your midline and pulling outwards to see which way your fascia wants to go, right? And the way that it wants to go is the way that you're going to be pulling. Okay, so fascia, a teacher of mine was really wonderful in teaching us how the fascial mechanisms work and why it seems almost counterintuitive to be going in the opposite way, right? If we have a stuck drawer and we're pulling on it and pulling on it and pulling in the way that it's restricted, you're never going to get the drawer open, right? It's going to become more jammed. But if you go back towards the way that it flows easily and allow everything to reconfigure and settle down, then when you go the opposite way, you'll be able to pull the drawer out more smoothly. So fascia works in a similar manner, which is why we're going to go with the yes. We're going to follow that pattern and trust that our bodies know the direction that it wants to be going in. So this means often when your legs are turning inward and you're protecting yourself in this way, your fascia is going to feel more free, pulling towards that midline. So go with it. You might need to stretch more into that position to feel the full release, right? Just giving into those asks of your body of what it really needs. And that's such an important element to life, and one that I check in with often. So then moving up your thigh, you want to be doing the same thing. You can use the whole palms of your hands on your thighs to move your fascia downward and move it back up. See which way it feels like it wants to be going. And you may notice that it's an opposite way than your shin bone was, right? And even if you're moving your fascia in a downward manner, because that's the way that your body's asking to be moved, our goal for today is to free the fascia so that it can then realign back upward, right? So after you're done with each segment in your body, take a moment to feel into that. Feel the lift from the area that you were working, because that is the way that your fascia normally falls when it's not feeling under stress. So continue working up your thigh in that same manner, just inching up the thigh and checking in again, checking inward and outward. If there's no difference and it feels flexible in this area, then go back to doing towards the knee and towards the hip, and feeling where the restriction lies. While holding your fascia on your thigh, and invite you to flex and extend at the knee. Just feel how that fascia feels while you're pinning it down. Sometimes these pin and stretches are all you need to release a tight spot. Pin down the tight spot of your fascia and even move into extending and flexing at the hip. To see how that feels for you. And move intuitively. If you feel that holding this space on your body, even by your knee, even at your shin, if you feel called or you feel a twitching or a sensation up in your hip or even up in your shoulder, move it, feel into it. Sometimes even when I'm working on somebody, if I notice a twitching in another part of their body, I will gently just rest my hand on that piece, right? To acknowledge the body that, yes, I see you, I notice your connection, and I will find the intermediary where we are connecting and how I can best help that settle. Okay, and you can go on to doing both legs. You can give some gentle kneading massages again. We're going to move up to the belly area. This area is one that a lot of people will hold forward, and that is just because their tailbone is pulling back, right? Their tail is up and in high alert, like that scared cat, right? Their tail is up. Their back is arching, so your ribs are pulling forward to protect this stomach that is now coming forward from your tail being out. So a lot of times we hold a lot of distortions in our abdominal area, and it's an area that people feel insecure about working on or having someone else work on. So it's a really great space for you to work on yourself. It's really important to pay attention to your body cues when we're feeling under stress, especially in moments of trauma or prolonged stress. Our bodies will sometimes take on a form of constipation. Remember, fascia goes all the way through to these organs. So when it's tense, it's going to wrap around the intestines, and it'll either tense it up so much that we experience constipation, or it'll tense it up in a way that our body starts trying to eliminate really quickly everything that we put into it. So when massaging, we want to be going in the direction that's going to be most helpful for these and not exacerbating these symptoms. So if you're feeling constipated, you want to be moving in a clockwise fashion when you're massaging your abdomen. If you're feeling that you get the runs when you get nervous, when you get up for a big speech, if you feel like your stools have been looser, you want to be moving in the opposite direction to slow and calm that down. So move in the direction that feels best for your body, for the way that you experience your stress. These circular massages, you can stay very surface with them and just influence this fascia up top, or you can go very slowly deeper in and do much more subtle fascial check-ins to see which direction your body wants to be going, right? Remember, just like the rest of our fascia, when we're working on this superficial area, right? We don't want to be pushing too far in that we're damaging any of our organs or hurting ourselves. We want to be pushing just enough that we can check in with this fascia and see which direction it wants to be going. And sometimes it's going to want to be pushing farther into the way that I've just said not to go, right? But if we're doing these very subtle and gentle movements where we're not moving in a full circle and influencing the entire GI tract, these subtle, smaller motions of myofascial manipulations can be done in the direction that it needs to go. So follow the way that your body is asking. You can hold right at the top of your pubic bone and at the top of your sternum, being careful not to put too much pressure on the xiphoid process, the little tip that dips down at the bottom of your sternum. So inch your way up a little bit above the bottom of the sternum, putting nice pressure on that sternal bone and some pressure on the pubic bone. You can stretch and contract to feel which way, if any, the fascia in these areas need to be realigned. While working on your fascia, remember that your breath is super powerful in bringing and clearing out stuck energy. It helps to direct your intention. So breathing into a space that feels really locked up is really helpful in allowing the body to soften around it. After working through this abdominal space, remember to thank your abdominal fascia, especially because it's such a sensitive space for many people. We want to be thanking and bringing reverence to all of the power that it holds in these spaces. And even the moments that feel like you don't want them to be holding, right? These patterns, these holding patterns that we take are all for our protection. They're for keeping our body in the best state. And coming up to your sternum and your breastbone, This is working its way up that front fascial line. Take a nice deep breath into this space. This area is one where so many people hold heartache, hold their fear, right? We hold our breath. We breathe so shallowly into this area. And the fascia follows suit, right? So when we're not breathing fully into the bottoms of our lungs, our fascia around that bottom area will start to tense up, right? That's another way that our body's just preparing us to act on our trauma, right? This short, shallow breathing helps us take oxygen in quickly, just enough to get us through a short stint of acting on something. But that's not necessary right now, right? What's necessary is breathing into the bottom lobes of your lungs to allow your fascia to relax around it. You are going to feel a lot of tender areas on this sternum. So I want you to be, for the beginning, just strumming along up and down this sternum, this breastbone, right? Come out to the sides of it and feel, and if you feel a tender spot, hold it. Okay, holding these spaces are allowing the constriction to relax, right? Sometimes all we need is to be seen and acknowledged, to be able to soften and let go. And our fascia works in a very, very similar way. And sometimes that's all it needs, to be held. So after you've walked your fingers up and down your sternum and you've found some of those key points that you want to be holding, then you can start at the bottom of your sternum. And again, checking in to which way your fascia wants to be realigning. Remember, we're holding firm enough that we're not slipping on the top of our skin. You want to be manipulating the fascia between your muscles and your skin. Breathing into these areas to help the fascia relax. You may feel that your fingers are moving upward even though they're not gliding over the skin. And this is your fascia freeing up those locked in spaces. You may feel, especially in this area, some nervy type pains where they're radiating out to the sides or out to other areas of your body. Especially on the sternum, you may feel it going straight through to your back. If you find a spot that is really tender, you might feel it in your spine, and this is okay. These are areas that are really locked up in tender points. These all have fascial connections, and the more that we work on this point of the fascia that you're feeling that locked up energy, the more the other ties in your fascia, in your spine, in the other parts of your body will free up. Remember to breathe into these spaces to help the fascial energy move through. Remember, your fascia goes in all directions. So if you feel called to moving your fascia left or right, follow the cues that your body's giving you. Follow your own body wisdom, your intuition. While you're working on these uppermost part of your sternum, right beneath the clavicle, feel free to hold on these spaces that are tender and move your neck, your head up and down, especially as you look up, right? A position that we just tend to not take when we're in these stressed moments. May feel really freeing for these fascial lines further down. So as I pull my neck up, when I'm holding firmly on my sternum, I can feel beneath my chin all of the tension that's being held there. Feel free to stretch into this. When you're going back again, you can redo this whole rhythm and feel free to sit in these moments of stretch for from 2 to 7 minutes, or as long as you feel fascia takes time to reorganize. And so often holding these stretches for a longer moment will be really beneficial. And when you're holding these stretches for longer times, you will actually feel the chain reaction. So you'll feel it starting with the pull of your chin, or sometimes you'll even feel it starting in these muscles coming up your neck. But as you hold and those start releasing, you'll feel the fascial line releasing, or then it travels up the back of your head or into your crown of your head. Right? And coming back to your sternum, and just give yourself a nice, gentle massage. Remember that the breast area is really beneficial. So when you're not just working your front fascial line, work into this whole breast area. Make sure you're moving your arms while you're working on it, because these muscles control a lot of that movement. Okay, so move into these while you're holding these fascial segments. Move your arms. Don't be afraid to touch your body, right? Our body needs to be touched. Our soul thrives on our touch, from ourselves and from others. And especially in these moments of isolation where we're not getting the hugs of our friends and our families. Take more time for yourself. Right, so feeling, stretching, thanking your muscles. I want to then invite you to come up. You're going to see a notch at the top of your collarbone. I want you to inch your fingers outside of these two muscles that come up your neck. You'll see these two cord-like muscles here. Make sure that you're on the outside of them, and tuck your fingers right on top of your collarbone, right outside of them. This stretch is a great myofascial stretch for the muscles of your neck that pull your head forward and pull your chin downward. So sometimes we're really stuck in this area, and this is a great way to wake up every morning. Is to hold firmly on the top of the collarbone, right outside those cord-like muscles. And slowly move your chin up towards the sky. You may notice that if you're not feeling the stretch that comes with doing this, that you're actually dropping your jawbone and opening your mouth. You can invite yourself to either fully open your mouth, that's such a great exercise for your vagus nerve, or closing your jaw to continue and to deepen into the stretch of these great muscles on your neck called the sternocleidomastoid muscles. While you're pinning this area over your collarbone, feel free to stretch your neck, your ear down to each shoulder, and feel if there's a side that tends to be tighter than the other. All right, again, lean into the side or the rotation that feels more free. As that might be the key to fully unlocking and unwinding that fascial strain. Test out different directions with your head to see if or where the strain may lie. There is often a lot of strain in many directions with this muscle. As in our society today, we overuse this one by looking at cell phones, working on computers, right? Even just sitting around in isolation, reading your books, right? We are looking downward too much. So remind yourself even throughout the day to just look up and do this opposite stretching. And then gently glide your fingers along the outside of your neck, right? Thanking that muscle for holding your head up so strongly, right? Keep being able to stretch it. Being able to keep that chin up. And for pulling it forward when you need to be protected. And this muscle inches and wraps up right behind your ear. You will feel that there's a rounded skull area right behind your ear. This is called the mastoid process. This is where a lot of your muscles connect. So you might feel some tenderness here. Just gently or firmly massage into this area, whatever level your body is okay with. Feeling into where the sternocleidomastoid muscle reaches and that fascia is tied up, right? So again, in these very small micro movements in that area, you want to be moving just gently upward, downward, back and forward to see where the freedom in your fascia is and following it. Right? So Dr. Gillespie, who's created the cranio-fascial therapies, is always saying, follow the yes, follow the yes. And that has just become one of my mantras. Right, so again, feeling into the different movements that your head can take while you're holding this fascia, right? While you're pulling into the yes, move and feel if there becomes more or less restriction as you move. And follow what your body needs. And then giving it a nice, gentle, circular massage on the rounded bone. Again, thanking it for taking all of this tension in that one area of your body, right? This is sometimes a really big area for earaches, a really big area for headaches, and neck tension. It's a really great area to come back to massage if those things trouble you. And then this fascial line finally comes up and over the head to the crown of your head. So you give some gentle massages to the back of your scalp, right? Your scalp holds a lot of tension, right? It feels like all of our tension goes down to our feet, right? And we feel like it's all in our knees. But if we think of ourselves as a tensegrity system where we have this series of pulleys, then the same equal strain is being put on the top of our heads as it is down in our feet. So we want to make sure that when we're holding on these spaces, right, you want to check in with this back. You'll feel a little protuberance at the back of your head. this ridge here that lies on is where a lot of muscles come together. So that can be a good area to massage and feel into with some fascial intelligence of knowing, these subtle micro movements of these micro massages, just seeing which way that part of your body wants to be pulled and following it. It can be really freeing. You could spend a whole lot of time in this area. It's a really juicy area that has lots of muscles connecting and lots of tension held. You can even wrap just your thumbs back into that area. If you do wear glasses, this is an area where you're going to hold a lot of strain, because even just having the glasses on your nose, you'll feel just moving your eyes around to find the correct positioning in your glasses is going to be putting strain on these muscles back here. So for glasses wearers, this is a really important space to be massaging. It's really important to be taking moments without your glasses, even if that means that you need to refocus and come inward for a few moments and not be looking where you aren't able to see, right? Even if that means closing your eyes and allowing your body to just sit, right? And then move your fingers up to the crown of your head. Remember that this fascia is so connected with your spirit and your soul. So this crown area is really important to free up when you're feeling disconnected from your crown chakra, when you're feeling disconnected from your soul communication, from your intuition. Feeling that crown of your head, this area right at the top where you would put a ponytail. Feel into that fascial wisdom where you're pulling in each direction. Thank your body for having this connection between mind, body, and soul. Thank yourself for your body protecting you, right? Sometimes this connection is really great when we're feeling empathic and we're feeling like too overloaded with all the stimuli coming in from the different energies, right? Shutting this area down sometimes can be really beneficial to have that introverted moment of just deeply connecting with what your body needs. So thanking your body for that moment and allowing it to reopen with boundaries. Right? I like to visualize a big glass orb around myself, right? When I'm stepping back into that connection, where I can see fully through it. Maybe it's a fascial web, right? Where I can pick up on all of the connections, but also separate which ones are helpful and which ones are overwhelming, and block them out like a stress response. Right? And then again, just massaging your whole scalp. Great. Now one last time, let's take a nice deep breath in, this time feeling from our feet, the energy moving upward and lifting our body back up. So take a nice deep breath in from your roots that we formed into the ground. Feeling the energy rise up into those lungs, into that deep breath space that we've created. Up, opening that heart area to be open to receiving the love. Chin up. Crown chakras opening and just bursting through that goodness. And thanking yourself for having the wisdom to protect yourself and having the wisdom to know it's okay to release it. And I hope that today's session has helped you center yourself and become aware of your fascia and this layer of ourselves and this great communication between our body and soul. I hope that it's melted away some of your stress and some of your blocks, and you're able to face some more of these days with a smile and with your chin up. And I hope that you all have a blessed and beautiful summer ahead. I love you all. Please come visit me at facebook.com/the Fascia Clinic for more information on fascia and our body and soul. And thank you, Diana, for having this space.
Thank you so much, Heather. This was so nourishing and so helpful. And as I went through this with you, I just have to share that this offering is going to be so beneficial, not just for families in quarantine, but for all our extended family and friends who are alone and need that touch, and yeah, anybody. So share widely with your communities, with the people in your communities. We can all use this kind of support. Thank you, Heather, very much. This was really great.
Thank you.